my friend Eric Householder. I want to welcome you all here and appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. Would like to acknowledge a number of elected officials that we have with us today, and I know it means a lot to Eric to have so many in attendance. I believe I saw Jefferson County Commission President Steve Stollifer come in, Jefferson County Prosecuting Attorney Matt Harvey, Berkeley County Sheriff Nate Harmon, Delegate George Miller, Delegate Mike Height, Delegate John Hardy, Delegate Darren Thorne, Delegate Rick Hillenbrand, Delegate Don Forst, Delegate Chuck Hurst. Anybody else that I missed that's not on the program that'll be speaking otherwise?
Oh, the speaker. Yeah, the speaker. Roger.
I'm sorry, Circuit Judge Laura Faircloth, good to have you here. And there are a few other folks that you, Rick, that I'll be mentioning here in just a moment. Let's have a big hand for all of our. This time, it's my honor to recognize our representative from the 2nd Congressional District, longtime friend of both Eric and mine, Congressman Alex Mooney.
So proud to be here to support Eric for whatever he's running for. It's still a mystery, right? I won't say anything until you get up here and pull those curtains off. But you know, when I first ran in 2014 for the U.S. House of Representatives, literally one of the first gatherings I ever had, Eric showed up, supported me, wrote me a donation. It was all in from the very beginning. And this isn't a primary. I had a 7-way primary back then. You never forget that. You never forget the people who are here today to support Eric when he's first announcing he's still got to win the Republican primary, that he's got to win a general election, and you're here today. Trust me, he'll always remember that. I always remember in 2013, actually, when I first met Eric. And you know, Eric's proven himself. A lot of people are going to run and say, hey, I believe in this and I believe in that. The great thing about somebody who has a voting record is you can look at it. And there's no dodging or denying. You voted for this or you voted for that. Eric has a proven conservative voter record for many years. In fact, he started in the minority party. You know what it's like to be in the minority, then take over the majority. And that's half the problem too. Sometimes Republicans take over the majority, they don't get it done. That's probably some of the biggest complaints I hear as I travel West Virginia and the country. You Republicans took over, you didn't repeal Obamacare, and you haven't done this, you haven't done that. It is very frustrating to voters when Republicans get in office and don't implement what they said they would do. Well, fortunately here in West Virginia, we've got great leaders. I know the speaker is going to talk later, and Eric is majority leader, by the way, which shows, I look around this room, basically all his colleagues are here from the area. Like everybody that knows Eric and serves with him, they're here to support him today. That means something. I'm in the Freedom Caucus. The entire Freedom Caucus has endorsed me. If you haven't heard, I'm running for the U.S. Senate, by the way. I hope you'll vote for me when the time comes there, too. But you got to do something with that majority. I mean, we have a 5-seat majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, just 5 seats, but it matters. Believe me, we've stopped the crazy, and we can actually get things done. But the majority that Eric's been leading here is in the House of Representatives has done some wonderful things for West Virginia with tax reform, school choice, pro-life, Second Amendment. So you can see the results. West Virginia really is a leader. So I think in the country for conservatism. So I thank Eric for his leadership there. I know the speakers here. Thank you for your leadership too, and everybody who's run and served. Y'all do the same thing I do at your different levels. So I'm sure Eric will do a great job at whatever he runs for. And there's other people running for these positions, mine too. But it's May 14th is the Republican primary. That's really the main thing. That's what matters right now for all of us running as Republicans. Remember, whoever wins that primary is going to be the next statewide or whatever elected official they want to run for. Whoever wins that primary in Eric's race and other races, 99% chance they're going to win the general election. The one statistic I like to say is in West Virginia, we in the state Senate, for example, we have 31 Republicans, only 3 Democrats in the entire state Senate. We've almost annihilated the entire Democrat Party here. And that's just been in the 10 years since Eric ran. I mean, that's a new thing. We are in a much different state than we were 10 or 20 years ago. This is one of the most Republican states, if not the most Republican state in the country. So I'm glad we have good people running. I'm glad to throw my support behind Eric 100%. We won't be disappointed in his performance. He knows what he's doing. I'm sorry I can't stay for the whole event. I've got to speak to the Eastern Panhandle Business Association. But with that, it's a pleasure to be with you, and thanks for coming to support Eric as I do. God bless.
Thank you, Alex, for those comments. I noted while you were speaking, your lovely mother, Lala Mooney, just stepped in, so please acknowledge Alex's mom. And I see Delegate Mike Hornby has also joined us, so please welcome him as well. One individual who certainly has been a star here in West Virginia and really in his work across the country, who unfortunately was not able to be here, is our Attorney General, Patrick Morrissey. And Patrick asked that I share the following statement in his absence. Patrick says, "I've known Eric Householder for over 15 years and was proud to support him in his first run for public office. He has been one of the most effective and passionate voices for limited constitutional government in Charleston, standing for smaller budgets and providing significant tax relief to hard-working West Virginians. In a time when many public officials shirk their duties, Eric runs to the fire and tackles many of the toughest challenges facing our state. He never forgets the taxpayers and knows how to root out fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today, but know that many more West Virginians are about to learn a lot more about the many accomplishments and the leadership of Eric Householder." Signed, Attorney General Patrick Morrissey. We appreciate Patrick for those very warm comments. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a friend of, I know of those of us in the legislature and those of you here in the Eastern Panhandle, Art Tom, Director of Legislative Affairs for the NRA. Art?
Thanks, Paul. It's not much of a secret to the folks here in the Eastern Panhandle, as well as those under the Capitol Dome, that Eric and I are very close. Our friendship started well before either of us played in politics, and I'm honored to call him a best friend. I could stand here and talk about, as finance chairman or majority leader, how he helped fend off a $450 million tax increase. I can go well before that and talk about the conservative values Eric brought when first elected, about the goals Eric had for himself and the legislature when he came to Charleston and how he's achieved every single one of them, about how he's helped create a very pro-business state, bringing tens of thousands of jobs, good paying jobs, to the people of West Virginia. I could, but there's folks here before and after me that will likely speak to you more on that. As most of you know, I'm the freedom guy. I'm going to talk a little bit about Eric and the values he brings in that arena. When Eric first came to the legislature, I was in the infancy of a state-level gun group that was barely known. We may have been a small group, but we had lofty goals. We handed Eric a bill that was probably 300 pages long and sent him off to find co-sponsors. He was off to the races, and we both ran into a Democratic brick wall. From that time, we've all grown to better understand what works, what doesn't, and how to best achieve our goals. From that time, Eric has been the lead sponsor or co-sponsor of every pro-gun piece of legislation to be passed in West Virginia. Hell, he even originated bills out of committee when necessary. Because of his dedication, he's been one of only 3 recipients of the National Rifle Association's highest award, the Defender of Freedom Award, given only to legislators that go well above and beyond to ensure our constitutional freedoms are protected. Eric has not only looked out for the people in his district, but all West Virginians. As the officiant of my wedding, I can assure you he's a man of God. As my go-to leader, focused on our constitutional freedoms as Americans, I can assure you he is a constitutionalist and cherishes the freedoms provided us under our Constitution. As a business owner, I can assure you he's pro-business and wants nothing more than to put West Virginians to work, helping us all grow. As a concerned parent, I can assure you he's looking out for our families and our children. I'm proud to stand with the chairman of Freedom, the originator, as he's known in Charleston, and my friend Eric Householder today as he announces his future plans, and hope you will all join with me in supporting Eric as he has supported every one of us.
for a minute you were going to neglect mentioning his title is the originator, and the backstory on that, and I can't recall whether Speaker Hanshaw was Speaker at that time, and he's nodding his head. He's probably a little more amused at the moment than he was at that time, but there was a bill that wasn't quite moving as fast as some of us would have liked, a pro Second Amendment bill, and lo and behold, it originated from the House Committee on Finance under the leadership of Chairman Householder at the time. So that's why he's called the originator, and there's a wonderful picture that he'll have to show you sometime. So next, it's my honor to introduce Speaker Roger Hanshaw, Speaker of the West Virginia House of Delegates. Both Eric and I, we've had the honor of serving with Roger since his election in 2014. So from 2015 on, when we took the majority in the House and really started to transform our state, it's been under the leadership and with the leadership of Speaker Hanshaw here. So this time, my honor to introduce Speaker Roger Hanshaw.
Thank you. Folks, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Thanks to every single person who's here today. And as Delegate Espinosa said, I have the privilege, and it is a privilege, of serving in a capacity as Speaker of our state legislature. And the Congressman had to leave, but what Alex Mooney said is absolutely right. You never forget who helped you when help was needed. And I've had the opportunity to be elected Speaker of our House 4 times in 5 years. 4 times in 5 years, if you've not been through that experience before, is a lot of outreach, is a lot of phone calls, it's a lot of conversation, it's a lot of discussion about your plans and your future and your vision for the state of West Virginia. And that's happened only because Delegate Espinosa and Delegate Eric Householder helped me do that. I say that because each and every one of those 4 times, Eric Householder said, we're going to get this done. And each and every one of those 4 times it happened. Each and every one of those 4 times Eric got it done. He'll do what he says he's going to do. He'll do what he says he's going to do, and I'm proud to call him my friend. But I want to talk about accomplishment. I want to talk about his accomplishment, not mine, because when I came to the House after the November election of 2014, the very first thing that confronted me as a brand new delegate in Charleston was a proclamation by then Governor Earl Ray Tomblin that the state of West Virginia was $500 million in debt. We had a budget deficit that year of $500 million. And what do we do to correct that? We have to make some extraordinarily difficult choices. We had to make some extraordinarily difficult choices. We had to choose to prioritize spending. We had to choose to prioritize how we'd fund the government. And that meant scaling back on expenditures that weren't necessary rather than increasing taxes. There was no voice louder in that decision-making process than Delegate Householder. None. Every taxpayer of West Virginia owes Delegate Householder a debt of thank you for how we navigated the budget crisis of January 2015. And as a taxpayer, I'm delighted that Eric led that charge. But fast forward till today, in which we don't find ourselves in a situation with a $500 million budget deficit. We find ourselves with a 10-digit budget surplus. How did we get there? How did that happen? It happened because our finance committees kept an extraordinarily disciplined approach to the people's money. Our finance committee went 4 consecutive years, four consecutive years without raising the budget of the state of West Virginia $1. Not $1. And I don't know about you, but my household budget didn't hold flat for 4 years, and I bet yours didn't either. But Eric and his team in our finance committee held the budget of the state of West Virginia flat for 4 years, and as a consequence, as a result, we've been able to enjoy historic budget surpluses that we have never enjoyed in the state of West Virginia's history. That only happened because we had, yes, it does. Those 2 situations couldn't be less alike. Those 2 situations couldn't have been less alike. A scenario in which we have a $500 million budget deficit and a scenario in which we have $1.5 billion budget surplus could not be less alike. And it is tempting, and it was tempting, to govern very differently in those 2 environments. It's tempting to raise taxes in this environment in which we're short money, and it's tempting to start writing checks and start cashing the dollars when we're in this environment with a budget surplus. And it's tempting to navigate or drift away from your principles in those two environments. But not if you're Eric Housel. Not if you're Eric Housel. So committed was Eric to stewardship of the taxpayer dollars that instead of investing all of the money that is available or was available to the state of West Virginia in spending projects, Eric actually led the charge for creation of a fund to backfill shortfalls that may show up later if things don't go the way we've projected. That fund exists today. That fund exists and funded today in the amount of $400 million because Eric and his team created that fund to backstop things that may happen in the future that we haven't been prepared for. I don't know about you, but when I think about who I want to entrust with the management of my dollars as a taxpayer in the state of West Virginia, I want to entrust someone who has vision and forethought enough to create a mechanism to save and put away those resources for a time when we may eventually need them. Ladies and gentlemen, we are enjoying a fantastic atmosphere in the state of West Virginia right now. To quote Tony Caridi, it's a great day to be in West Virginia. It is. It's an absolutely fantastic time for us to be here to enjoy the fruits of the labors of people who came before us. And I'm one of those people. I came into the House majority in 2014 in that election when we as the Republican Party became the governing majority. But waiting on me when I got there, waiting on me when I walked in the door, were Delegates Espinosa and Eric Housel. They've seen it from both sides. Eric's lived it not just in the good times that we've seen now and that we're seeing now as a governing majority and as West Virginians, but in the tough times when we were there as a 20-member minority. It was a different atmosphere then. It was a different time. But our principles can't change just because the times do. And Eric's principles haven't changed, haven't moved an inch since the day I met him. It is my privilege to be here today to invite to this podium my friend, a business owner, a West Virginian, your delegate, the chairman of the House Finance Committee, vice chairman of the House Finance Committee, and the majority leader in the West Virginia House of Delegates, Eric Housel.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, everyone. I just told him he about had me crying back here. But no, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to my family, my friends, and all my supporters who are here today. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, once again. It's been great to serve under your leadership. And thank you, Delegate Espinosa, for handling all of the MC duties today. And thank you to Congressman Mooney and to my good friend Art Tom. Thank you. It tremendously means a lot to me. So let me say, I love this great state and the liberty and freedom it gives to ordinary people like you and me to raise a family, to work at a good job, and to pursue happiness any way we want to. And I love playing a small part in ensuring that West Virginia will be great for my children and grandchildren as it has for me. Now, over the last 14 years serving in the legislature and serving in several leadership roles, I was excited to play a part in orchestrating the largest tax cut in West Virginia's history, reducing the West Virginia personal income tax by 21.25%, providing 100% dollar for dollar tax rebates for your automobiles, cutting business taxes for small businesses on their machinery, inventory, and equipment tax, exempting any veteran with a service disability of 90% or more from paying personal property taxes. And in past years, for our seniors and our retirees, reducing the state income tax on Social Security, and finally, reducing the coal severance tax on steam coal. All the while staying true to my campaign promises that I had made to you. But there is more to do. Today, I am announcing my candidacy for West Virginia Auditor. If you don't know it by now, I am Eric Housel, a proven conservative, and I'm running for West Virginia Auditor because I want to ensure that our state's finances are managed with the utmost integrity, efficiency, and transparency. I stand before you today with a deep commitment to our shared conservative principles. I will put these principles to work in serving our great state as your auditor. This is a role of utmost importance, one that ensures transparency, accountability, and responsible management of the state's finances. Now, my journey to this moment has been shaped by years of dedication to public service. I have a wealth of experience in financial management and accounting, which has equipped me with the skills necessary to safeguard the interest of our citizens. And each year that I served in the West Virginia House, I remain committed to protecting your hard-earned dollars. And I thank you for having the utmost confidence in me. I'm asking you to elect me as your state auditor. Now, I pledge to you that I will ensure transparency. I will make it a top priority to provide clear and accessible financial information to the public. Transparency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of good governance. I pledge to you that I will safeguard the taxpayers' dollars. I will rigorously audit government spending to identify inefficiencies and potential savings. Every taxpayer dollar should be spent wisely, and I will work tirelessly to make that a reality. I pledge to you that I will root out fraud and corruption. Corruption erodes the public's trust in government. I will investigate any allegations of financial wrongdoing without bias and hold those responsible accountable. And I pledge to you that I will collaborate with other agencies to achieve the best outcomes for our state. I will foster strong partnerships with other government agencies, working together to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of our government. Now, my vision and my message is simple. I will ensure that our state's finances are managed with the utmost integrity, efficiency, and transparency. With your support, we can build a brighter future for our state, where every citizen can trust that their hard-earned tax dollars are being put to good use. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Together, conservatives can make a difference for our state's financial health and well-being of its people. Now, my conservative record is clear. My commitment to service and integrity are proven. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your prayers and your support. God bless you, and thank you once again for believing in me.
Excellent remarks, Eric. One more piece of business here that Eric has asked each of you to assist in. You know, when you're embarking on a campaign, particularly a statewide campaign, you obviously want to make sure that your messaging is just where it needs to be. And so Eric has two possible logos here that he's had designed. And he would like your all's input as to, you know, which one is the logo that he should go with here? He said he really liked both of them, but he really wanted your all's input.
That one. That one.
So we'll call this one number one. We'll call this one number two here. Do you want to actually take a vote now, Eric, or do you just want to take casually?
Yeah, let's take a vote.
So take a look. Anybody need more time? All right, let's just by a show of hands, number one here. Raise your hand if you think that number one is the way to go. Seems like a lot of hands there, I'm not sure. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down. And now how about number two here? Got a couple there too, but I think clearly number one is the leader there, so. You got what you need there, Eric?
I think so.
All right. Well, again, thank you all very much for being here. Eric, did you want to say anything else before we go? Thank you all very much for being here. I know it means a lot to Eric for being here. And Eric, we wish you the very best in your campaign. We know you'll be successful.